2008. We also saw core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, slowing for a third straight month in December. December's reading shows us that although inflation has bottomed out and is now increasing, the rebound remains moderate and will not impact consumer spending significantly.
The General Counsel of the Bar of South Africa has referred allegations of historical sexual abuse levelled against advocate Jeremy Gauntlett to the Cape Bar at the Johannesburg Society of Advocates. In a statement, the GCB says the allegations are serious and of concern to the South African public, the legal profession and the council. The allegations were made by an academic in an open letter to the Anglican Church. Gauntlett has since stepped down from a 3-person panel set up by the Anglican Archbishop Thabo Makgoba to review how the church handles reports of abuse. 4 people, including a 16-year-old girl, have been killed in a shooting incident in Motherwell, Gqeberha, in the Eastern Cape. Police spokesperson Siphokazi Mawisa says a 5th person, a 24-year-old man, was injured and taken to hospital following the incident which happened last night. Mawisa says 3 unknown men entered a house and shot the occupants.
The motive is not clear at this stage and forms part of the investigation. 4 counts of murder and attempted murder are being investigated by SAP's Provincial Serious and Violent Crimes Investigation Unit. SAPS is calling upon any person with information that could assist police with this investigation to contact the investigating officer, Detective Sergeant Nigel Wright, on 082 921 2312.
The South Korean government has announced measures to improve safety at 9 airports after the country's deadliest plane crash last month. 179 people died when a plane landing at one international airport crashed into a concrete structure at the end of the runway. The BBC's John Mackenzie has the details.
The Jeju airplane was bringing passengers home from Thailand after Christmas when it made an emergency landing and crashed into a concrete structure at the end of the runway, meant to help planes land. Aviation experts say if that hadn't been there, the outcome could have been very different. Safety inspectors have now identified 9 of these guidance systems, which they say need to be altered. They're looking to either replace the concrete bases or bury them underground. 7 airports will also have the safety areas around their runways lengthened or adapted after the inspection found they were too short.
Recapping the top story, Minister of Higher Education and Training Nobuhle Nkabane says a war room has been established to ensure a smooth registration process at all institutions of higher education across the country. I am Ondilambana for SAFM News, headlines at 1:30.
Your best year starts at Dis-Chem with unbeatable deals on health foods for the whole family. Get 2+1 cheapest free on any Nature's Choice health products and get 20% instant discount on all health teas, hot drinks, honeys and spreads from brands such as Jacobs, Little B and more. Just swipe your benefit card at the till. Shop in-store and online for the lowest prices on the widest range of health foods. Now on until 16 February. Dis-Chem Pharmacies. Better health starts here.
This January, to save money, you could piggy bank on your friend's streaming service, or you could switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance premium. Get a quote, and if Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand cash. And of course, make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. With Outsurance, you always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP, and T's and C's do apply.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I'll be still in the quiet, in the presence of my God. Though I'm weak and fragile, I'll lay it at the feet. I don't need to say I'll be still in the quiet, in the presence of my God. Though I'm scared and weary, I won't take my eyes off the light, 'cause I do not walk alone. No, no, I do not walk alone. This I know, this I know, I do not walk alone. No, I do not walk alone. This I know, this I know. Oh, I don't need to say much, 'cause you know me so well. I'll just wait for your touch. That's all I need for you. We do not walk alone. We do not walk alone. This I know. This I know. We do not walk alone. No, we do not walk alone. This I know. This I know.
It is the soothing voice of Jay Something, one of the founding members of Mikasa, coming through right there. Not only a successful musician in his own right, a family man, a restaurateur, but also quite the foodie and gained quite the reputation in the culinary arts. One of my favorite songs by him, penned during lockdown, I Do Not Walk Alone, is the name of the song, or the title of the song. And that is how we kick off the show on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're having a great day thus far. And of course, if we're casting our eyes in KZN, a very big day today as AmaZulu commemorate the historic Battle of Isandlwane. And I'm sure we'll be dipping in and out into those proceedings throughout the course of the day today as we track the significance of them. And of course, King Misizulu expected to update the Zulu nation on some of the most recent developments that have caused a bit of confusion, not only to AmaZulu, but also just to South Africans in trying to understand exactly what is going on down there. But it's a celebratory moment for AmaZulu. It's a moment of commemoration and remembrance, and of course honoring the legacy of this mighty nation. From our side today, we flip the script as we often do, and we're delving into matters of social activity and citizen participation. We're going to be talking to a lawyer and social activist, Dumisole, on the back of his galvanizing the digital community on social media platform X in particular, under the banner of hashtag Cleaner Joburg. And this comes on the back of conversations that were being loosely had by community members of X from all around the country, and in particular Johannesburg, just sharing and complaining about municipal issues, infrastructure issues, things that were breaking down, the lawlessness, the dirt, the loitering, all the things that plague us as we go about our day-to-day lives, the things that concern us, that frustrate us, that infuriate us. And Dumisole, being the social activist that he is, decided that, let's all galvanize and speak from one voice from all of our various corners, in particular to the city of Joburg under the hashtag Cleaner Joburg. We also are going to be catching up with the folks from Inkumi Impact Solutions, and they've got a sustainability podcast, and we'll find out more about this now award-nominated podcast and some of the issues that they delve in there. The other thing that we're looking looking at today, because it is a Wednesday and we're kicking off, of course, our professional year still and trying to get ourselves in the right mind frame. We're going to be having a conversation with a mentoring and professional coach. And we're looking at transforming our lives through coaching. What's coming up after 2? I'll let you know what's on the plate for our Parenting Corner and what other conversations are happening there closer to the time. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. You're more than welcome to send through your WhatsApp voice notes. 082-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. What's frustrating you about your neighborhood, where you live, your ward, your district, your municipality? What issues are irking you that you have to drive past every day, walk past every day, and you've complained and you've complained and you've complained through the neighborhood community watch, through your counselors, and nothing is being done? We'd love to hear from you, like what is really just grating you at this moment in time, that if you had direct access to your city mayor, to your councillors, to your premier, you would say to them, if you are not here tomorrow to fix this thing, you are not getting my vote come 2026. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. We'd love to hear from you. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll be right back.
Owning a small or medium-sized business takes courage, skill, and determination. The Clientele Legal Business Plan is there to protect, guide, and assist your business in managing the legal risks. Let us handle your labor matters, employment contracts, CCMA referrals, and so much more. Our team of professional lawyers are standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 42770. That's SAFM to 42770. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So my first guest today is a man who needs little introduction if you play particularly in the social media space on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Dumisole, who is an attorney by profession, but also a dynamic social activist who's garnered nationwide acclaim for his impact under the hashtag Country Duty. And that was a movement that really had us paying attention to him and his galvanizing us all to be active citizens. Well, he didn't stop there. He's this year decided to heed the call once again and be proactive and put us all together under a unified voice, particularly those who live in Johannesburg and in the Gauteng region. And he ignited the campaign hashtag Clean Joburg. How are you doing this afternoon, Dumi?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking the time. Much appreciated, because we know that, in your professional life, you're rather busy, but you still find time to be on social media and to be an active citizen. And before we even get to Clean Joburg, I mean, I allude to the fact that a lot of people really started being in conversation and engaging you and paying attention when you galvanized the hashtag Country Duty, which was really where a lot of your social media activism began. But why is it so important for you to actually just pick up the baton and to get us all talking, but with a focused direction of what we're trying to do and achieve?
Thank you for your question. As the word, or rather the hashtag says, Country Duty, it was a time where we said it's South Africa, and it's everyone. It came at the back of us being tired of government officials not doing what they are required to do. Even private sector, hashtag Country Duty is a social movement about South Africans, for South Africans, and it cuts across racial lines. And it was very important at the time, I think more so now, where we are seeing how the city is deteriorating. Private sector, for example, either not putting its socks and finding solutions together with citizens. And that was really the base of Country Duty, to say we are the people and we put government in power, but we ought to hold them accountable, and perhaps a structured way through a hashtag where you see the comments, you align with it, and you come up with solutions. that are practicable, and we can then track and hold them to account. So that was the basis, really. And I think it's more so relevant now.
Yeah. You're quite known for your ability to rally the social community together and to rally them around pressing social issues. And I've been watching this December. We all complain in our various silos. We all take to Twitter, Facebook, all these different platforms, and we complain about our issues. But you have a way of gathering us and focusing us all so that when we complain as one unified, powerful voice.
No, true. And I think, as you correctly said, if you go onto Twitter, we've been having, most radio stations, especially the likes of these big podcasts like yourselves, there's a pothole issue. That's why you have a proper traffic update. There's lights that are not working. But we are in the digital age, and all these representatives are there. They see our tweets, they engage with us, and what we should not allow is, with a few months to the local government elections, have them coming in and begging for our votes while they are not rendering service. So the ability to galvanize is moving from one-person approach to a much broader community-based type of an approach, and we say, we are the people, we are the residents, we are complaining, but we also have solutions, and we have a social contract with you as the city or a government official, for that matter.
Let's talk a bit about #CleanerJoburg. We are both residents of Johannesburg in different parts and different areas from each other. And really, this is a conversation that, again, was sort of gaining traction during December, because I think we had far more time on our hands to actually observe what was happening in our neighborhoods and our suburbs, and people are disgruntled. It doesn't matter whether it's people from Soweto, from Deep Sloot. People are disgruntled and have reached a point where they can't tolerate anymore.
Absolutely, and this, people being disgruntled, actually, in my view, poses a very serious threat to our security as a country, because it is through this disgruntlement that people organize themselves, feel that they are powerless, and it's then going to be each man or woman for themselves. And it's dangerous because it's not then going to be solution-based. So you're absolutely right. In December, we all had time, the adrenaline had dwindled down, and we're able now to see, when you go get bread, visit Makoko Ekasi, that you actually get a sense of what the state of the city is looking like. But what doesn't make sense, or had not make sense, is every month, especially those who are in the suburbs, and even Soweto for that matter, because they do pay for water, for example, things are not as they're supposed to be. And my view and the basis is, we have a social contract with the city and government, and it is at the very basics that they need to then render a service. It does not make sense that we see infrastructure being at the state that it is. Just outside your studios, not so far from there, you will also see there's a robot that's down, there's a sinkhole that was initially a pothole, it's just gone down, but people are tweeting every day, people are complaining, they are calling in, and nothing is being done. So through CleanerJoburg, I posted this 2 days ago, and it has already gotten almost 500,000 views. And yesterday, you'd have seen that City of Joburg, after everyone started consolidating, mentioning where the problem is, what the issue is, they issued a statement to say they've noted the concerns raised by the residents, and they're addressing that. And if you go through that hashtag, you will see now, for example, now JMPD is enforcing the bylaws in the city, where it talks to people who are trading without permits, for example. Right? So it's not that you can't trade in the city in a restricted area, but you have to have a permit, because if you don't, then there's someone else who's doing that. And again, I want to not only complain, but I also want to urge the residents of Joburg that we also need to take accountability. It does not make sense, for example, that we have our drains filled with litter because we litter, you know, and we don't do our part as citizens, and then we yet go onto social media, for example, and complain in our corners. We need to work with the city, with government, and ensure that we are able to find solutions for Joburg to go back to being a world African class city. They no longer use that hashtag or pay of line because of what the current status is. So we are hoping, and I'm hoping, that through Cleaner Joburg, for example, which is their hashtag actually, that we will then find practical solutions together as a citizen, as the city, and make it to be one of the most attractive cities in the world.
Yeah.
I'm tired of always hearing Cape Town got an award for this and whatnot. We are a world-class city, so I'm not going to sit by, and I'm urging the residents not to do the same and complain. I'm saying let's, put on our boots and do our part and go back to a weekend where we all align and go clean within our community. Let's report crime and hotspots and work with our security companies, work with the city when they call us to action, and I think we'll definitely get there.
Absolutely. I did note this, and as we're having this conversation with Tumi, when we say that, our frustrations were really heightened in December, and you asked everybody who was chiming in to send pictures and send videos that were, of course, acquired safely of the problems that had been nagging. So if you've been driving past that pothole and it's now becoming a big, crater for the last 6 months, take those pictures, take those videos, post them on social media, tag everybody, tag your councillors, tag the premier, tag the mayor, tag the city, tag everybody, and use the hashtag. And what I found so interesting was, once you manage to galvanize all of that social media presence under one banner, to your point about, it was the first time I saw the city proactively issue a statement saying, we hear y'all and we see y'all, and we are going to address everything that y'all are saying one at a time. Because for every single day, every single month, every single year, South Africans feel like they're talking to themselves, like you're talking to a brick wall that's just not listening to you.
Indeed, and I think that's the other thing that really, make us feel that we are not being listened to. But right now, if you go on, you will see, as I said, JMPD is out there. There's a JRA now fixing some of the potholes. Joburg Water is doing certain things, but these things should not be based on us now reacting and revolting. It should be a standard. It should be an everyday thing, right? And I also urge those who are using the hashtag that when it's fixed and it's proper, let's also give credit where it's due. Let's say to this, if you are doing well, we see you, kudos, and that's how I think we can take the city and this country to the next level. There's a lot that's going on: crime, high unemployment, and everything else. But if we are solution orientated as a people, we really can achieve a lot. I just want to mention just one thing in passing. For example, one person has mentioned that, look, we support the hashtag. Is there a way of it now being formalized into something, and then where residents, for example, can contribute or otherwise? Now, that is a clear proactive measure where what can we do with the city to help alleviate, for example, the burden that they have. And we are more than happy to sit in meetings with them, come up with practical solutions, and say, how can they be of service to the people and have the social contract working. It can't be business as usual where we see them in the next few months coming for votes and then a councillor, especially where some of us come from, go Soweto and other townships, the councillor doesn't even live within that community. They are just a few kilometers outside, but you only see them after 3 to 4 years when they come and campaign. We really need to do better. So it's then incumbent on us as a people from Soweto straight to Bryanston and wherever to be in a position to say, this is our city, this is our country, and this is how we're going to make it work, and not just only complain until no one hears us.
Yeah, and to your point about giving credit where credit is due, I must admit I've also seen some folks just tweeting here and there of things like the Bryanston Corner issue that got sorted out, nipping it in the butt before it became an actual real issue. We still hop on in 4 ways about the loitering and the traders that don't have permits that are occupying every corner, and we understand the social and economic issues that drive people to the point of desperation, but can we also just have order for the sake of everybody who lives in these areas? Soweto has got their own ongoing issues, Diepsloot has got their own ongoing issues, but it's also wonderful to see the likes of the MMC of Safety and Security in Joburg, who's been very proactive, you get residents from Pretoria, for instance, who've been sharing the progress, slow and steady progress of the efforts that they're making in particular parts of the city.
Absolutely, and for example, permits, and I would say, and I say in inverted commas, informal traders, for example, it's very important then to have an easy and friendlier onboarding process for people to get permits, for them to be able to sustain and make a livelihood out of it. It doesn't help anyone in trying to make a living that there are so many red tapes, and it becomes uneasy. I remember during COVID where there was a lady where I come from who was arrested for selling archer, and we had to intervene legally on social media.
I remember that, yes.
And she was out and stuff. But again, she didn't have a permit. It was because of some regulation or otherwise. So while laws are there and ought to be respected, especially ones that deal with socio-economic issues, we need to also say, how can we make them practical for people whilst these laws remain enforceable as well, so that it becomes a situation of people, only the haves are protected and other ones who are there, and then the have-nots are still put in a certain corner. Otherwise, we are a people, and we need to then come together and, in the essence of, the preamble of our constitution of Ubuntu, find ways that we can all coexist and ensure that people still are able to earn a living. So red tapes would have to be sorted out and removed, or rather laws be amended to accommodate these type of things.
I want us to just pause it there for the headline news, Dumi, but our WhatsApp is open on 0614104107. If you want to share from your perspective, let's just quickly jump to Andela and then we'll come back on the other side.
Thank you, Bridget. In the news headlines, the Johannesburg Roads Agency says it is facing a backlog of over 70 million rand relating to the repair of traffic signals across the city. Minister of Higher Education and Training, Nobuhle Nkabane, says a war room has been established to ensure a smooth registration process at all institutions of higher education across the country, and consumers can breathe a sigh of relief as inflation comes in below analysts' expectations. Data released by Statistics South Africa shows that inflation ticked up only marginally from 2.9% in November to 3% in December 2024. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hello, Bridget. Makanda citizen here. What's irking me about Grahamstown, Makanda are these damn bloody leaks. Every street has a leak. And there's no water coming out of our taps. There are 2 old age homes here that have been without water for weeks and weeks. There are many households that have been without water for weeks and weeks. And the fact that they just alert us or give us notice on the same day that the water stops or whatever issue is going on is not acceptable. We have written, we have signed petitions. We are at our end of our tether now. We need intervention from the Premier, the President, John Steenhuisen. Somebody come to our rescue here in Makanda, asseblief.
Good afternoon. The issue of illegal dumping in our area where I stay is in the township. It's really a big problem, and it's not because of the municipality. There is a garbage truck that comes every Monday at 8, but people don't take out their garbage. Instead, once the truck has gone past, there will then be dumping, things that are supposed to be collected by the same truck. That one is a problem, and I wonder what is it that we can do to change the mindset of our people. They dump everywhere, and they do it illegally. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Now my issue is the people in this complex. I mean, it's a new development. You need to consult the law before you take any action. They want to take shortcuts. They bring nothing to the table. All they want to do is to complain and complain. Who is going to fix these things? Because they understand we are in standalones. We have to structure things and consult the law before you make the decision. You can't just jump and make decisions. They are so lazy. They don't want to sit and learn the bylaws. It's so many. Some of them, they're complaining with high water bills, some of them with electricity, but they are not consulting the relevant laws to see what their rights are and structure things and put a pen on a paper.
I get the feeling I'm going to sound like that at that particular age. We are in conversation with attorney and social activist Dumi Sole, and he's galvanized Joburg citizens under the hashtag Clean Joburg. And when he sent out this tweet 2 days ago, and it read, "Please, let's tag these officials and councillors using hashtag Clean Joburg. We put them there and they must be held accountable, from potholes to crime hotspots, violations of bylaws, etc. Take the pictures and the videos safely and use the hashtag to express your frustration. We tired and demand services." And of course, all the various stakeholders, all the way from the Premier, all the way to the MMCs were tagged on that post. And I think, to me, as much as we centered this conversation around the hashtag that's focused on Joburg, but as we can hear, we know that the problems are widespread. Makanda, I go to Makanda with the show once a year. We're there for a week. The water situation is desperate in Makanda. It's crazy desperate, and it's been ongoing. But what I also like about what you've done is that it has the ability to be magnified countrywide. So the same pressures that we are putting here on our officials and our leaders is the same pressure that can be put in the Eastern Cape by the communities around there using the same platforms.
Absolutely. And that's where, in my view, for example, country duty is yes, to spearhead it, but it's for us all. And it's for us to really hold government, including private sector, right, to account and for us to get this country going. So Makado, far away from here, and other provinces, in Mpumalanga or wherever you are, KZN, for example, you can be that catalyst in your city, in your area, in your town, and in your street, where you can bring people together and say, we are united for a common cause. What can we do? And the power of social media, I can't overemphasize this. Once people are organized and they speak in one voice, you'll start seeing change. And that change is not only going to benefit one side of the town, but it will extend to a much wider community. So the ask here is, to those who, for example, are listening and they're thinking that it's just only Cleaner Joburg, start off with Cleaner Katlehong or Soweto or something. There was on the WhatsApp line someone complaining about waste. There's a bylaw that talks about how waste need to be disposed of. But also, I did mention that as a people, we need to take accountability. We need to stop littering. We need to ensure that we do our part in not exposing each other to hazardous environment. You know, you see it when you're driving, for example, someone would open the window and just throw a bottle out. We see it in our parks on the weekend when you're out on the run and stuff like that. The city can't policy that, you know, they don't have the capacity. But us as citizens and people who do this, we need to then say, look, I actually want to throw this into a recyclable bin or this and that, but there probably aren't enough of these. What is it that can be done with the city where we can have these type of dustbins that are not easily, stolen or removable? And that's a very different type of approach and conversation. So we can't just then throw and mess up our city, and then we go back and say the city is not doing this and otherwise. We also need to come to the party, and certain things are just a habit, bad habits, in fact. Absolutely. And we need to stop that and do our part.
Absolutely. I mean, it boils down to sort of the things that we socially excuse, that mentality of when someone throws something, and we hear it in our communities, let's just be honest and frank, we hear it in black and brown communities, when someone throws something out the window or throws it 50 meters away from the bin, and then they go, oh, it's job creation.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, call that out. It's not job creation. You are littering. You are being dirty because you would not just throw something in the middle of your kitchen floor. So why would you throw it on the streets in the community that you live in?
Absolutely. Over the holidays, for example, if you go on the coast and stuff like that, you need to think about the impact of your actions. You throw something at sea, and what impact it will have to sea creatures, the environment, or otherwise. It might seem small, but it has ripple impact, and effect. We want our kids to be able to learn about dolphins, go and see those dolphins, but when we then pollute, as a people, we contribute to their decline, and we can't do that, and there's just so much that we as a people need to then take on and be active and hold each other to account so that we are able to hold those we elected to account. And I think it's possible. It's more relevant now with the local government elections. My plea really, and ask to the officials who are listening as well, we would want to work with you. Let us come up with solutions, communicate to us, tell us and show us that you hear us, but more so help us help you in making the city better. You collect so much money from us as residents, and we want to see where that money goes to, and we can help. If the issue is creativity or there's something that's missing, let us do our part in respective ways as a citizens, as professionals, as people who are creative in other spaces. You mentioned the podcast, the people that you'll be talking to just now on sustainability. They probably have very exciting ideas, but there's an issue of funding or otherwise. Open that budget, look at it, see how you allocate it, and make sure that such initiatives are properly supported.
Absolutely. Dumisole, we have to leave it there for this afternoon, but we appreciate the time with you today. That was, of course, an attorney and social activist, Dumisole. You can find him on social media. Very, very proactive, active guy. They engages on many things, from social responsibility, even finding people everlasting love on Sundays. That hashtag again, hashtag Cleaner Joburg. It's just gone 2 o'clock.
Just last month, it was December, the season to be merry, or December, for those who know that it's not just a month, but a lifestyle. Now it's January and life is threatening watching financially. There's back to school and your own goals, and January is on everyone's lips.
Mara, you can get the relief you need right now and start the year strong with the personal loan from Nedbank with access up to 400,000 Rand. Search Nedbank Personal Loans and get a loan that offers you more. Nedbank. See money differently. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Your best year starts at Dis-Chem with unbeatable deals for the whole family. Save R29.98 when you buy 2 packs of Softy 18 toilet rolls for just 200 Rand. Get 20% off all Sunlab products. Save R79.98 when you buy 2 Sanex shower gels or kids foam baths for only R100. Shop in-store and online for the lowest prices on the widest range of products. Now on until 16 February. Dis-Chem Pharmacies. Better health starts here.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Alrighty, still keeping on that note of active citizenry, we are catching up now with Nompumelelo Musheshe, who is the impact entrepreneur and co-founder of Ngumi Impact Solutions. And Mpumi is going to tell us a little bit more about their sustainability and, their sustainability podcast, really, that's Regenerating the Future, which, by the way, is nominated for an award. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Thank you for the interview. Hi to you and the listeners.
Thank you for making the time. All right, let's start with what inspired you to start the Ngumi Impact Solutions podcast and, of course, the journey thus far for you guys.
So, firstly, Ngumi Impact Solutions was a collaboration between myself and my business partner who is in Amsterdam. And we came together because he's studying sustainability, and I'm really passionate about ESG, which is environmental social governance. And then that's where we saw that to actually create the podcast, which serves as to raise awareness about the impact of human behavior, business activities, and mostly I think it was to call a call to action, rather, to having more regenerative and equitable economy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by way of the podcast, talk to us perhaps about some of the episodes. Maybe you can also just share the significance of the themes that you cover around the episodes.
All right. So the themes that we really cover are circular economy, sustainability, environmental social governance, and then so I say sustainability and circular economy. And also, we raise really a lot of awareness around the breach of the planetary boundaries. So that's really a key focus in most of the episodes that we have. However, a key one is the communities fighting climate change in Mozambique. So that one was very important in that we speak, it's more relatable. We try to ensure that when we speak about climate, when we speak about circular economy or sustainability, we're speaking to grassroots level, to people on the ground who are really impacted mostly by these.
And I mean, I'm sure you may not have been listening. My previous conversation before you, just talking to a social activist here, Dumisole, who was talking, more or less around the same kinds of themes around just how communities can begin to come together on the ground and conscientize themselves around behaviors and how those behaviors have an ultimate impact in larger conversations around climate change. For instance, with this episode in Mozambique, communities fighting climate change in Mozambique, what were some of the insights for you and some of the interesting observations that came out of the stories that were being told from that region?
So from that region, you realize that these climate disasters have been happening over 30 years. And it's something we could also most probably relate to if we actually follow the trends in our own communities, like in Durban. And one thing that was key was speaking to people who are actually on the front lines in terms of the communities around there, and then the people that are working with those communities in these climate crises. And the biggest one was the strategy of anticipatory action, where it's really a critical approach to disaster management, where you actually build on disaster preparedness, and it takes place before being reactive. And I found that very key in how we manage our own climate and climate issues, climate disasters, because we do have the equipment or the forecasts to actually warn us.
Are the folks on the ground sort of drawing the connections between, the sort of micro community-based issues and conversations around around environment and sustainability to the broader conversations globally as well around, climate impact?
So we've hosted a climate conference, and that was one thing that community said. So they understand it in their lived experience.
Yeah.
However, the jargon that we use seems to disconnect them, and it's just a matter of simplifying it. But as soon as you actually explain it, they're the ones that actually go through water, sanitation, climate issues. It's actually the ones that are most at the periphery and most marginalized that feel the impact. So they can tell you more about climate change or the impacts of climate more than big business. It's just, I think, it's the alignment in terms of the language, and we've been very key in also trying to bridge that gap, and also just the developmental theories in terms of understanding them within the context.
How do we begin as individuals and organizations? How do we begin to contribute towards a positive fight and positive impact against climate change, based on obviously all the insights that you've gathered through your podcasts and conversations with community and organizations?
I believe that it's understanding your contribution. It's that running tap. It's the smallest things. It's about food waste. It's about how can you maybe have your own garden. It's about how do you take care as a business. How do you take care of the community, the impact that your business does around, and understanding that as much as you just business, you're still within a community, and the people that you even work with come from community. So it's all these small things that we turn to actually, it's the interconnectedness, actually.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that we speak on also on the podcast is that just remembering that we actually are meant to be stewards of the earth. And there's something that I've learned from one of the experts that as much as we keep going on that the climate is dying, it's actually we the ones. All the impacts that's happening from the climate is actually coming onto us. It's us who are dying. The climate or the world can just regenerate, and we are the ones that. So it's more about taking care of ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very, very interesting perspective. As we wrap it up, congratulations on the Go Game Changers Award nomination. What kind of impact does this have on your work moving forward?
I think the nomination is actually quite incredible. It is in Amsterdam, which is a great platform, which will also allow us to, in terms of collaboration, and it's around the SDG 17, but also it allows us to accelerate the podcast, the network, and meet more mind-like people, but then also in terms of assisting us in funding, which is putting us at the forefront where these conversations are being held, where it's seen as the cream of the crop in terms of climate conversations. And then for us as from the Global South, being able to have an input there is really interesting, because then we bring our own context and shape those theories and frameworks to fit also our setting.
Yeah. Tumi, it's been, why am I saying Tumi? Nompumelelo, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for the time today. That was Nompumelelo Mushishi, who is an impact entrepreneur and, of course, co-founder of Ngumi Impact Solutions. And they've been nominated for the Go Game Changers Award. And hopefully they'll bring it home with a little help from you by way of voting for them. It's just gone 10 to 2 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause, and then we come back and we get into a conversation around career coaching, transforming lives through coaching.
Compliments for 2025, Mangani. Call me Mabel Goals, because I'm coming for it all this year. Body, relationship, and financial goals. With my Just Invest account, financially I'm cruising. 2 more to go. You know any available Prince Charming voice man?
I've got you, Mabel. Sorry. Mara, you can also be like Mabel and earn up to 8.25% in interest to start the year right. Open yours via the Money app today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. Promo rates apply. Go to nedbank.co.za for more information.
The SAFM Playwriting Competition is closing on the 3rd of February 2025. Explore the theatre of the mind and write your 60-minute radio drama play and email it before 5 p.m. on the 3rd of February 2025. Late submissions will not be accepted. For further information about the competition, visit safm.co.za or send an email to drama@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Alrighty, let's have a look at transforming lives through coaching. And we've got the founder of ML Consulting, and they're into mentoring and coaching. We've got Ulindiwe Mayepa joining us. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Bridget. Fine, thank you.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. All right, let's look at this. Firstly, let's start with the basics of what is coaching, right? Because there's a distinction between mentoring and coaching, and at times people get the two confused or overlapped.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, thank you, Bridget. And good afternoon also to your listeners. You know, coaching is a structured and equally a goal-orientated kind of a process. You know, the focus here is being to unlock the potential to assist the individual, you know, to assist on his specific goals, that to ensure that the goals are basically achieved. But Bridget, importantly here, the coach is non-judgmental and provides a safe space of self-exploration, you know, self-reflection, self-awareness, you know, the journey basically to self-discovery. You know, that's in a nutshell what coaching is all about. But when you look at mentoring, you know, a mentor provides guidance, a mentor provides, you know, advice, and you can share the experience. A mentor can also act as and via a teacher and a skills developer. Here, a mentor advises whereby a coach, as indicated, provides a structured process whereby you can advise, but the structure informs you.
Linda, the phone is just breaking for a second. I don't know if you've moved direction, maybe. Or we on speaker, but maybe
I'm on speaker. Let's put on headphones.
Yeah, let's put it on headphones, not on speaker, and then let's just stay in the same corner. And hopefully it won't break on us. We won't lose network because you've got some really important things that you want to share with our listeners in the next few minutes. You also talk about the 3 core pillars in everyone's life. Have we lost Lindiwe? Oh, we've lost it. Okay. And just looking at the time, and I wonder if we're going to have time to get through some of this conversation, or perhaps we should move it to the other side of 2 o'clock because we are chasing news. She's back? Lovely. Okay. Linda, you also talk about the 3 core pillars in everyone's life.
Absolutely, yes.
Tell me about those, because what are the 3 core pillars?
Okay.
Linda, let's pause it here for a second. Apologies for that. Apologies. It's just that the audio is cutting out on us and we're getting reverb for some reason. So maybe let's pause it for a second and then we'll try and get a crisper, cleaner line and we'll come back to you on the other side of 2 o'clock. But listen, our WhatsApps are still open on 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you want to share some of your frustrations around your city, your municipality, the things that you feel that people should be doing, those that you've elected, be it your councillors, be it your mayors, your premiers, feel free to do so. And that's part of the conversation that we had with Dumisole, and we're galvanizing all of Joburg under the hashtag Cleaner Joburg for exactly that reason. Tag them all in all of your frustrations so that they know. Take the pictures and the videos to show them that, listen, this is the problem and it's been like this for 6 months and it needs to be fixed. Let's make a noise. Let's go to WhatsApp.
I'm Buhle from Joburg and I would like to complain about the hobos everywhere. At Rosebank, the zone, sometimes you find Nyaupes entering even though the securities will chase them away. At Rosebank by the clubs, I think it's on Jan Smuts, there you'll find the hobos. They live there in the middle of the road. In Melville by the spa, There's the hobos that live there opposite the road. In Norwood, when you're going as if on Louis Boyd, as if you're going to Houghton, there's other hobos as soon as you enter that traffic light from the left and right. I just passed Tulisa Park by the robots as if you're from the freeway going to Joburg. There's duvets and blankets from hobos. Can the traffic wardens, can somebody in Joburg do something about people that are sleeping everywhere? Because now the rest of Joburg is going to turn into Joburg. Remember how good Joburg was during the 90s? What now?
Yeah, I only know Joburg from the reference of 2005, but by then it was already starting to be the Joburg that it is now, right? I get what you're saying. There are a lot of displaced people in a lot of our urban metros. There's a lot of displaced people, a lot of homeless people just seeking shelter and refuge. And perhaps, as Stumi was pointing out, that we need various stakeholders in this conversation to come together and try and find some kind of collective permanent solutions to some of these things, right? Because people are also just looking for places to sleep and to call their homes. But I also get it when you are a ratepayer and you're having to jump over a displaced person or homeless person. Cape Town's got this problem in the City Bowl right now, and they're trying to do something about it. But at the same time, when they try to do something about it, also, civil organizations and NGOs say, but you're not doing it the right way. And there should be a right way of doing it. There should be a way that satisfies everybody. If you're opening a business, I drive past Melville every day to come to work. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because there's a strip. Is it 7th Avenue in Melville, or that other main road on Melville? 4th. There's that strip where they were even trying the whole of last year. They renovated all the businesses, all the business fronts. They were busy with, JRA was busy with all the pavings and the roads, trying to beautify everything. But unfortunately, the businesses can't open because at their doorstep are displaced folks that have nowhere to go, and that is the safest place for them to sleep at night. So we need to find solutions. I get it. I get it. We need to find solutions, and this is why we're having these conversations. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. It's top of the hour now, though. It's time for us to get into the news for this hour. And remember that theft, accident, and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. And you can get a quote today by SMSing car to 43187.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2. Joburg Roads Agency faces over 70 million rand backlog, and war room established for higher education registration. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. The Johannesburg Roads Agency says it is facing a backlog of over 70 million rand relating to the repair of traffic signals across the city. The agency says the backlog is due to theft, vandalism and motor vehicle crashes. The roads entity says it currently faces more than 360 cases of vandalism and theft, with new incidents reported daily. Nhlanhla Njingila reports.
ARA CEO Zweli Nyathi says the repair backlog is placing a significant strain on the entity's maintenance budget, as more and more incidents of theft and vandalism are reported each day. He says dysfunctional traffic intersections not only disrupt service delivery, but also pose a critical threat to road user safety. Nyathi says they are now partnering with private sector to explore innovation solutions to mitigate these challenges. This include installing remote monitoring system on traffic lights to detect and report faults. Nhlanhla Njingila for SABC News, Pretoria.
Minister of Higher Education and Training Nobuhle Nkabane says a war room has been established to ensure a smooth registration process at all institutions of higher education across the country. This was heard during day 1 of a 2-day stakeholder engagement meeting on the state of readiness for post-school education training for the 2025 academic year. Minister Nkabane says several interventions have been put in place to assist prospective students.
The first intervention that we have put in place is the war room, where we are going to have a team that is going to look at issues as they come day by day. The team is going to sit every day and keep us abreast on the developments that are taking place in our PSET sector. The second intervention that we have put in place is to ensure that we are visible in all institutions of higher learning. Another intervention is to ensure that we also have our mobile offices in all institutions of higher learning.
Consumers can breathe a sigh of relief as inflation comes in below analysts' expectations. Data released by Statistics South Africa shows that inflation ticked up only marginally from 2.9% in November to 3% in December 2024. Contributions to the consumer price inflation came from housing and utilities, miscellaneous goods and services, food, alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, as well as tobacco. Laura Campbell is an analyst at ETM Analytics.
Food inflation does remain low, and we are seeing the second slowest period of food price increases in the history of the new CPI series, and that's since 2008. We also saw core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, slowing for a third straight month in December. December's reading shows us that although inflation has bottomed out and is now increasing, the rebound remains moderate and will not impact consumer spending significantly.
The matter of rape-accused Pastor Timothy Motosho has been remanded until the 2nd of April for judgment after closing arguments. He appeared in the Gqeberha High Court with co-accused Zuki Swasito and Lusanda Sulani. They are facing over 30 charges that include rape, human trafficking and racketeering. The case started 7 years ago. NPA spokesperson Luxolo Kyali.
They did indicate that against all the charges, they were going to deny that they ever committed them. And for the state, it was just to prove or to re-emphasize the fact that they were denying whatever was put against them, which was now heads of arguments that all they did was a bad denial. So we still believe that when the judge considers the evidence in its entirety, she will find on our favor.
A major military operation by Israel is continuing in the city of Jenin in the occupied West Bank for a second day. The Palestinian Ministry of Health says 10 Palestinians have been killed and nearly 40 people injured. The move into Jenin, where the Israeli army has carried out multiple raids and large-scale incursions over recent years, comes only 2 days after the start of a ceasefire in Gaza and underscores the threat of more violence in the West Bank. The BBC's Yolande Nell has the details.
Sources have been telling us that there are many civilians who are casualties, and we've been hearing reports that Israeli troops shot at the entrance of a hospital in Jenin this morning, made some arrests there, that there are armoured bulldozers that have been operating in that area, digging up the streets. The Israeli military has been saying that it is looking for explosive devices when we've seen operations like this going on before.
Recapping the top story, the Johannesburg Roads Agency says it is facing a backlog of over 70 million rand relating to the repair of traffic signals across the city. I am Onde Lambana for SAFM News Headlines at 2:30.
And that's the news for this hour. Remember that theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. And you can get a quote today by SMSing car to 43187. So kickstart your new year with low-cost insurance for your older car with Outsurance Essential. With Outsurance Essential, you can get up to 1 million rand liability cover. So if you cause an accident, the other car will be covered for up to 1 million rand. Now add motor warranty to that, which covers you for mechanical and electrical breakdowns. Get savings with Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars that are older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 rand. SMS car to 43187. That's car to 43187. And remember that Outsurance is a licensed insurer in FSP, and T's and C's always apply.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Make everything so simple in a crazy world. And I'm trying to find the words to say. You make everything alright just by being around. Boy, you make me want to sing. You're my light in the dark. Guiding me home. Your faith in me is all I need, baby. Your love sets me free.
Irish recording artist, musician and producer right there. It is Laura Izibu coming through with a wonderful track, and that is how we kick off the show this afternoon. We just felt like we actually haven't heard her in a while, right? And she gives us that remnants of people that we love to love, and also folks that she's found great inspiration from, the likes of Aretha Franklin, as well as India Arie. There's a bit of that flavor coming through from Laura Izibu. Definitely, I think this is a reminder for myself and my team to actually go exploring a little bit of her music discography. I think if memory serves correct, though, she released one one album. She was one and done, and that was it. But still a good album to go and listen to. And the debut album was Let the Truth Be Told. It's just gone 10 past 2 o'clock. Hopefully your day is missioning along quite wonderfully, and you're managing to get everything that you need to get done. We're going to be focusing our eyes now on some parenting themes in this second hour of the show. It's Wednesday in our Parenting Corner. We're looking at how parents can teach children about saving, and of course how they can be money savvy, and these would be tips for all age groups. So if you are a mom and dad or a guardian, or even just a proactive aunt and uncle, and you have these conversations with your nieces and nephew, this might be a conversation for you to tune in. Let's take a quick pause, and then we'll be back on the other side.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
All SASA Gold cards will stop working on the 28th of February 2025. Replace yours today with the new Postbank Black Card at no cost. Join hundreds of thousands of grant beneficiaries already receiving their grants on their new Postbank Black Cards. For your convenience, you can collect your card at multiple locations nationwide. Card replacement points are at selected ShopRite Checkers, Pick n Pay and Boxer stores. To find a location near you, dial *120 *218 *3#. Don't wait. Upgrade your card today for free. Trusted by millions for 150 years. Postbank, your bank.
So this January is to save money. You could piggy bank on your friend's streaming service, or you could switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance premium. Get yourself a quote, and if Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, you can simply ask them for 500 Rand and make that 1,500 cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years now. SMS out to 30754. That's 30754. With Outsurance, you always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP, and T's and C's do apply.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Alrighty, we are catching up with Marine van Brekkel now, who's an audit specialist and deputy CEO at RCS. It's a brand new year, it's a brand new school year, and it might be a perfect time for you as a parent or a guardian to give your children a little bit of financial refresher. And of course, we know that it's always a good conversation, right? We talk a lot about financial education and financial literacy, and perhaps to start folks off young is good. The younger the better. And there are concepts that can be grasped by children as young as 3 years old. And Marine is here to make that conversation a little bit easier for you as mom and dad, and a little bit more fluid, so that the young ones as well as the older kids in the family are able to absorb it all. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good, thank you, Bridget, and thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to dive into the money savvy tips for kids of today.
Lovely. We appreciate the time with you. I mean, moms and dads might go, okay, Marine, first things first, before we even discuss the importance of, financial education for our kids. How young is too young to have this conversation?
I don't think you can ever be too young. I think a perfect age is the age of 3, but I would even push it to the age of 2. I have a 2-year-old, and I think she's ready to use that money box and hear that jingle of coins. I won't say it's ever too young.
All right. Okay. Fabulous. Let's talk about the importance of this, right? Because oftentimes when we have financial conversations, the vast majority of adults in South Africa will go back. Their behavior with money and finances, they can trace it back to the fact that they've never really had financial literacy education. They've never had financial literacy conversations at home. Conversations about money were taboo, not for the kids. And I would presume in order to have a conversation or to teach kids money tips, we have to take that tabooness out of them not being included to some degree around money conversations in the household.
Definitely, and I think it's, I've mentioned I've got a 2-year-old, but I've also have a 4-year-old, and I realize every day that if I spend time with him, that it's key to make financial education and saving habits really a fun and engaging one. And it's not the difficult things. I always use the DOT approach, which is do one thing. And it's just to ensure it becomes an ongoing fun part of your children's lives and making saving part of their routine. And to your point, then it's not this big thing if you're a little bit older and need to get into it. It starts with fun, hearing those jingle of the coins, to more complex credit and behavior and credit education.
And this sets them up, right? It sets them up. The more you open this dialogue for just better behaviors, the older they become.
Exactly. And also it doesn't only introduce the concept of saving and financial education, it also helps our children to build patience and a sense of achievement. And it really starts with a simple task, the celebrating of their progress, and also using available resources and being aware of what resources are available through different stages of life.
So talk to us about, and you mentioned that you use the DOT approach, one thing at a time. Unpack that for parents that are listening. Where do they begin with that?
So DOT is really do one thing. And it encourages parents to teach children simple, fundamental lessons about finance through simple and manageable tasks. So really one thing at a time. And this approach makes the concept of saving just so much less scary for our children, also more accessible, not only for our children, but also open the discussion for parents. And if I go into a few, there's so many tips and things that you can do at different stages. So I'm really going to touch on a few very practical ones today.
Okay.
So for young children, age 3 to 5, I would almost say 2 to 5, it's all about fun and games. So using a money box, we can make the saving tangible and fun, and really nothing like that jingle of toys, and celebrating as the money box gets fuller, and then also that sense of achievement if they can buy something with it. And then for children aged 6 to 8, creating a visual savings goal chart can reinforce the importance of setting and achieving goals. So make it very practical, include pictures, is crucial for them to really make it real. So the one thing that they really wish to buy, and then use fun graphics and vibrant colors. There's nothing like coloring in, and track those savings to make the process very engaging. Then for tweens age 9 to 11, it's a great time to open a savings account. It's a crucial step. It's a crucial learning of how a saving accounts work, what's the benefits of saving for the future, and also start creating that financial independence and pride. And then our teenagers, 12 to 14, learning about budgeting can be both educational and enjoyable once that goal is achieved. So, and these days, with them being constantly online, there's so many budgeting apps to make the process more interactive and also appropriate for them in their world. And then last but not least, our older teens, understanding credit management is essential. It's teaching them about their credit scores, interest rates, and also the importance of building a good credit history. Really prepares them for that responsible financial behavior if they need to stand on their own. And parents can show them it starts with something as simple as a credit card statement, and emphasizing the paying off balances in full to avoid those interest charges. And Bridget, I just think these days there's amazing tools out there that we can educate ourselves with, but also our kids. And one of them is RCS is working with a partner of ours that we've launched the RCS Credit Gateway, and it's available on our website, rcsgroup.co.za. And there's really so many educational articles and simple things that you can really learn about credit management and then also saving.
I want to sort of, we're going to touch on the various age groups as we delve a little bit deeper, because, for instance, when we talk about piggy box,
Yes.
money boxes. A lot of folks think that young kids at that toddler age don't understand the concept of saving. But I've seen kids articulate and in the simplest language that I've got to fill up my piggy bank, and then come my birthday or some significant moment in the calendar, come my birthday or come Christmas, I get to crack my piggy bank, and then I get to have the Barbie or the little Doliki or whatever it might be that I wanted. And it's amazing how even at those ages, they understand the concept of, listen, give me money. They might not know the languaging of saving and interest and whatever, but give me money and I'll put it in that piggy box because it's sounding empty right now. And mom and dad said it needs to be full.
Exactly, and it really starts that small. It's also that sense of achievement, you're working towards something, and if they have a picture of what they really want, and then you accumulate all your little coins. I don't know how much value there is in coins these days, so maybe it's the difference when I grew up, but it's really to just get that sense of achievement, and actually the next time, now they've learned the lesson and actually they know what's out there if they can save. So it starts small and very practical.
What I always find fascinating is observing children, when they're in a grocery store, for instance, with their mom and dad after school. And no matter what age groups, you actually see how kids grasp the fundamentals of money. They just need to be reinforced with the right education and the right languaging. I'm just thinking about being at a till just before schools closed in December at my local Checkers, and there was a brother and sister probably no older than grade 4, 10, 9, 8, somewhere around there. And they were buying chocolates, and they saw that orange sticker that said buy 3 and save. And I could hear from eavesdropping in their conversation that they were trying to figure out, firstly, is it 3 in different combinations of chocolate or 3 of the same? And how much am I saving when I buy this, and what do I need? And it took a simple thing of saying, can I swipe my Checkers card for you so that you can actually earn the savings? And their eyes just lit up, because then they were like, wait, there's a thing called a card where if I swipe it, I get savings? And it's wonderful to see kids sort of awaken to these concepts around money and just these behaviors around money.
Yeah, and also the value of money and what you can do with it. So, yes, you can potentially do a lot more in your example if you just swipe the card. So it's really that awareness of what money can buy, but then also if you accumulate that, you can buy something bigger and that it's more long-term versus a chocolate that's instant pleasure.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about, kids' savings accounts, for instance. When do you start and I know you said 9 to 11 would be the prime time for you to sort of ready your kids for that. And at that point, what kind of conversations should you have had with them? Because you're now introducing them into a formalized banking system, which functions a little different with each stage of their life.
I think it starts with very much going into a bank and almost let them experience the journey of, I get a card, and go and sit down with them and read the terms and conditions, what's available for you on the card, what does it work like, if you save, what does it actually mean? I mean, the whole concept of actually, if I put 100 Rand in, I can potentially over a year, it can now be 105 Rand at the end of the year. So it's the concept of interest that you can earn on it. But at the same time, there's the concept of fees that you pay to have this bank account, and why it's important to have a bank account versus having the money under your bed and all those safety, fraud, etc. I think it really starts we all got to know it, and some of us had to figure that out on our own, but it's so much easier if you have a guardian or an aunt, an uncle, a parent to actually take you on the journey. And then it's also subsequent to that, how do you read a banking app? And parents can also have access to the same banking app, so it's learning together, and kids just want to talk to you and you explain it in that way. So it's very simple terms. And before we know it, they understand the concept of interest. So that it starts very basic.
Absolutely. You know, I've got stories because I've on my journey to parenthood, I'm always watching parents and how they do things. Dr. Tlaleng, who is a health activist, shared a story about her kid who's in this age range on social media, on X. And she shared how when he got his first bank account, which I think was 2 years ago, he wanted to see his statements, because he would see her seeing her statements, and he would ask, where are my statements, so that I can also see what's happening in my account. And as you say, she then had to introduce concepts to him, but I think it was a slightly more advanced, investment account. She had to introduce concepts around bank charges, because he was saying, but the math is not mathing, because I should have this much money. So what is going on?
And then also how that helps you in the future. So once you understand a bank account, a debit bank account, to your point, how do you understand investments in the future? How do you understand loans in the future? So, and everything touches on each other. At the end, a bank account is nothing more than a money box, if you really think. And that's why it's important to start with the concept at the age of 2, 3, because then you can just build on that.
So some advice for parents with older kids as well, because older kids have more questions and they have that sense of, I want to use my thing now, because you're saying to me, it's my money, it's my pocket money, and I want to use it now. So why must I wait for 12 months?
Yeah, I think it's crucial, especially around the older teens, that we actually teach them about credit scores and the importance of building a good credit history. So, and that it starts with saving and understand the concepts of saving, but then also understanding that if you don't have the money today and there's potentially something you want to buy and you need today, for, as example, a school book, how can you buy it today on a loan? And even if that loan is with a parent, to also understand that concept of how do you pay it off, how do you need to ensure that you make every installment. And I think also parents doesn't always know it all. So use tools around you to also educate yourself and learn together with your kid. I think kids are so much more open to learning if they do it together with a parent. So, and one of the tools I have mentioned is the Credit Gateway. It's brilliant because there's some videos on it, and it just literally breaks down really financial concepts into much more simpler terms and with very clear examples.
Marne van Brekkel, thank you so much for the time. And Marne she's an audit specialist and deputy CEO at RCS. So hopefully, as we wind down January, you're able to at least start having these money conversations at home with your kids and start setting them up for a prosperous future. It's never too early. 2, 3, you can get them right in there, understanding the concepts of filling out those piggy banks and knowing that if you put paper, actually, if you're listening, kids, if you're in the car with mom and dad, ask them for paper money. They must give you paper money, and then you put the paper money in your piggy bank. That's the value. It's just gone 2:30. Ondelambane is standing by.
Thank you, Bridget. In the news headlines, the Hawk says it has recorded an increase in cybercrime with an average of over 3,000 incidences being reported per week on the continent, double the global average. The Johannesburg Roads Agency says it is facing a backlog of over 70 million rand relating to the repair of traffic signals across the city. And Nursing Labour Union Dinosa in Gauteng is concerned about the declining number of nurses entering the profession. The province is facing a shortage of nurses and a dwindling number of students intake at nursing colleges and universities. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The SAFM Playwriting Competition is closing on the 3rd of February 2025. Explore the theatre of the mind and write your 60-minute radio drama play and email it before 5 p.m. on the 3rd of February 2025. Late submissions will not be accepted. For further information about the competition, visit safm.co.za or send an email to drama@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Specsavers now looks after your hearing as well as your vision with Specsavers Audiology. With 60 stores and counting, we are South Africa's largest audiology group. For a limited time only, buy one rechargeable hearing aid and get 50% off the second. You heard right. Buy one rechargeable hearing aid and get 50% off the second. Find your nearest store at specsavers.co.za. Specsavers Audiology. Test your hearing and join the conversation. T's and C's apply.
You are listening to The Full Circle. This program is brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
SABC Education, in partnership with the Department of Health and Ilifa Labantwana, bring you episode 8 of the side-by-side drama, season 4, focused on children's rights and early childhood.
Say and say, side by side.
Singama Africa, Kenya, you Tina. Singama Africa, Kenya, you Tina. Singama Africa, Kenya,
Remember, children's rights are crucial. Thank you for listening to my presentation, learners. If you have any questions, your teachers will be able to help you with answers. If not, you can find me at the local clinic. Just ask for Mam Cindy. Woo! Remember, invite your parents to tonight's talk at the community hall. Imange, can we have a chat for a moment?
Yes, Mam Cindy.
How are your studies going? And everything else?
Good, I guess.
And your teachers? Are they treating you well?
Yes.
Listen, Imange, if there's anything you would like to talk about, my door is always open. Here, this is my cell phone number. Call if you want to talk.
Talk about what, Mam Cindy?
Anything, Imange.
Thanks, but I really have nothing to talk about.
Imange mtanam, someone I know saw you driving with your teacher. Are you sure you're okay, Imange?
I just needed a lift to meet a friend. Mr. Makwetu was just trying to help out.
So he wasn't making you feel uncomfortable in any way?
No, of course not. He's a wonderful man. You have nothing to worry about, Mam Cindy.
Okay, Imange, if you ever feel uncomfortable, you have the right to say no.
Thanks, Mam Cindy. I'll remember that. Bye.
Here we go. Here's a form. You need to fill it in for Sipokazi.
It's a lot of information, ma'am.
Well, you are leaving her in our care. So the more information you have about her, the better we can take care of her.
God, ma'am, I don't know if all these details are with me now.
It's okay. You can return the forms when you come collect her later.
Okay.
Is there anything still bothering you, Babalo?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I just want to make sure Spogazi will be well cared for here.
Absolutely. We prioritize child's rights and needs. Let me show you around. See? We have various activities designed to promote development while respecting their individuality and safety.
God, ma'am, how do you ensure every child gets attention, especially with special needs like our Spogazi?
We maintain small groups, and each child's development is closely monitored. We work inclusively, ensuring every child feels valued and understood.
It all seems wonderful, but I'm just not sure if Uspogas is ready for such a big step.
Mm-hmm. It's a big decision. Take your time. We're here to support you and Sipogazing when you are ready.
I will do just that, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, we have a huge turnout in the meeting on children's rights tonight.
Should I get more chairs? Thanks, Lupumzo, but it looks like we'll just make it. Oh, Mom Cindy's about to start.
Attention, attention. Ngosi. Today we gather to discuss our children's rights, especially their right to express themselves.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
isn't that making them too outspoken? Kids today think they can say anything to anyone.
Why must this man be so anti-everything? The right to express themselves teaches them to be confident and to articulate their thoughts. Exactly. It's about respect, not disrespect.
In our days, we knew our place. Now kids talk back. They're challenging everything.
It's about balance. They learn to express themselves while respecting others.
Yes, but you are giving kids the whole hand when they must only be given a little finger.
Sir, you know nothing about early childhood development. It's not about fingers or hands.
You are a child yourself. Pull my finger, Wena, and wait for the sound of me expressing myself.
You're rude!
Okay, all right. Settle down.
But he told me to pull his finger. It's okay. Just let it go, Lupumzo.
Let's remember, the right to express doesn't mean disrespecting others. It's about understanding and valuing each other's views.
Singama Africa Kenya you Tina.
Thank you for listening to Side by Side, the drama that supports you to give your child the best possible start in life. Brought to you by the National Department of Health, Ilifa Labantwana, and the SABC Education. Join us again tomorrow as we sit down with our expert at 2:30 to further discuss children's rights and early childhood, right here on SAFM.
Say and say. Side by side.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we've just gone past 22, 3 o'clock, side by side. They're coming through. We're going to try this again. We were trying to have a conversation earlier on with Lindy Wemaepa, who's the founder of ML Consulting. And we're having a conversation around coaching, really. Just a quick touch base around the benefits of coaching. Lindy, how are you?
I'm good, and you, Bridget? I'm good. Thank you this afternoon. Sorry about the glitches that happened.
No, don't stress. Technology is never our friend. But let's just go back to where we started, right? Let's
sure.
start from scratch.
Yes.
Let's talk about coaching, because there's a difference between coaching and mentoring. Maybe give us a little definition of both that essentially elaborates the distinction between the two.
Okay, Bridget, coaching basically it's structured and it's basically goal orientated. It's a process that is goal orientated, and the focus here is basically to unlock potential, to assist an individual to achieve specific goals or the relevant goals that have been set. Now, importantly here, in relation to coaching, the coach is non-judgmental and provides that kind of a safe space for self-exploration and self-reflection, self-awareness, and the journey basically to self-discovery. When you look at mentoring, basically it's around providing guidance, providing advice, and sharing the personal journey that a mentor has gone by, the experience in related to work, in related to career, and share the success and the adversaries that came in, sharing that insight. So a mentor can be basically act as a role model also, a skills developer, an advisor, and a motivator.
All right. No, I get you. And it almost sounds like a coach also becomes almost like your accountability partner to some degree.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And, coaching is quite formal compared to a mentoring. A mentor, it's a person that you have a relationship that can be informal, but with coaching, it's structured and a bit formal kind of a relationship.
Okay. Let's talk about the 3 core pillars that are in everyone's life, where you say that this is where we encounter a lot of challenges. What are those 3 pillars?
The 3 pillars, the core pillars, I call them core basically, they are in everyone's life. And that's where we mostly encounter challenges. And the core pillars, which are wealth, health, and relationships. Now, Bridget, what I want to say is, for an example, the wealth pillar basically encompasses financial stability. It encompasses career growth and transitioning between, careers. And importantly, what I like here is transitioning, helping to those that are transitioning to the golden years of retirement, basically. Now, importantly, these 3 pillars, they are interconnected. They form a dynamic triangle of life. For an example, if one is having financial challenges, definitely that will have an impact in one's mental health, and which will translate equally also straining the relationships. Yes.
That makes sense because they're all interconnected. So once one is out of sync, the other 2 get affected.
Absolutely. If the other one is out of balance, that's a detrimental effect to someone living a very harmonious life.
Absolutely. Now, what actions do we then take, to improve these 3 pillars? How do we attempt to get that balance? I always hesitate with balance because, hey, I struggle. I've accepted that life doesn't really always have balance, but it's a concept that we strive for.
You know what, Bridget? What I'm just going to say and mention is around, mention small actions that we take for granted across these 3 pillars. And the actions that we can take, let me take for wealth, for instance. If we can learn to practice, just take a small amount of time to reflect on anything that you've achieved, whether it's financial, whether it's career-wise, whether it's spiritual, whatever kind of achievement, and just be grateful. But I want to touch also on the wealth, on the health. I prefer scripting, but if we can learn maybe perhaps and practice and say aloud or write down just one thing that we are grateful about in relation to our health, being able to walk, being able to breathe. And I believe, Bridget, from the parking lot coming to the studio, you did walk.
Yeah.
As we're having this conversation right now, we are breathing. The breathing necessitates and facilitates this kind of conversation. We take this for granted that it is mandatory for us to breathe. And breath is the thread that weaves the fiber of life together.
So just the little actions of gratitude, right? Just making sure that you remember there's more to be grateful for.
Absolutely. Hence I'm saying, small actions that we basically take for granted.
Now, let's also, you recommend a book. Are there, or rather should I say, are there books or tools, or maybe even just gratitude is the one that you've just mentioned, that can be helpful to us, that you maybe recommend to clients?
Yes. You know, my clients also have cited what has been helpful to them. You know, the book like, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
You know, it offers practical strategies for building good habits, you know, breaking bad habits and making small, consistent kinds of improvement that will basically lead to change. You know, that's the book. But another tool of practice, maybe perhaps, is practicing gratitude. You know, just to be grateful and have a simple journal of a gratitude, or even an app of a gratitude, whereby you can script or say one or two things that you are grateful about, and that is so transformational. And lastly, maybe perhaps, you know, practicing guided meditation, very simple also, you know, mindfulness. This has helped and managed stress to improve the focus of my clients.
Yeah. All right. I mean, listen, Linda, it sounds like really practical tools there. By the way, just said the name of that book again, if someone missed it.
Oh, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay, Atomic Habits by
Atomic
James.
Habits, yes. By James Clear, yes.
Lovely stuff. Well, hopefully this sets up a few folks for a better 2025. I must say, I'm trying to exercise a spirit of gratitude.
Absolutely. Once you make gratitude your mantra, it forms the foundation of who you are. You know, things open up and falls up automatically, you know, the blessings and everything. Gratitude holds the circumference together, is the mantra of our life.
Lovely stuff. Lindy Maepe, thank you so much for the time. She's the founder of ML Consulting. Are you on social media for anybody that might want to be in contact?
Absolutely. My website is mlconsulting.co.za, Facebook, ML Consulting Services, LinkedIn, ML Consulting Services, Instagram, ML_Consulting Services, ZA.
Wonderful. That was Lindy Maepe, founder of ML Consulting, right there, walking us through some fundamentals of coaching. I'm seriously, you know, between you and I, since we've come back in January, I've committed by the end of January, I'm going to do my household budget. I committed to our dietitian, was it 2 days ago, yesterday, that I'm going to be a little bit more aware of the portions and portion control in my relationship with potatoes. And now I'm committing to gratitude. I'm going to attempt these things, and I'm going to double back every quarter for as long as we're together, so that I can tell you what I've been able to sustain. But yes, we're well on the way of becoming happier, wealthier, happy, healthier people. That's it. That's our vibe for this year. Let's take a quick pause, and then we come back. We get into our final conversation with Christo Janse van Rensburg, and we're still talking finances, and this time around, financial planning 101 for unmarried partners. We're not judgy on the show, so we're going to have that conversation now.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Christo Janse van Rensburg joins us now, financial advisor at Discovery, and we're having a conversation around financial planning 101 for unmarried partners. And the reality of it is that marriage rates in South Africa have dropped by 29.5% between 2013 and 2022. And this is according to Stats SA's data on civil marriages. So the trend is suggesting that nearly 1/3 of committed couples are choosing to live together as life partners without actually getting formally married, aka going to home affairs and doing the vibes. And I think, Christo, this very much speaks to just social culture, really, where a lot of sort of nations are moving towards a more liberal thought around relationships.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon to you and your listeners. So a big issue is that people don't feel secure, because when it comes to a marriage contract, there's a lot that's involved. There's also a lot that's involved from an emotional perspective. Now, if you do choose to not get married, but then do decide to live together forever or be partners for the rest of your lives, there's still a lot of financial decisions that you do need to make together. But it is actually more unsecure from if you were to pass away. It's more unsecure for you as an individual because you don't have that backing of that marriage contract. So when you do decide to live together, you have quite a few more things that you need to get into place to ensure that your family is safe.
Absolutely, because ultimately you guys are combining your life and pulling your resources into one. And, you know, we've had this conversation with family attorneys and folks who deal with it from a legalities perspective, just talking about the things you should be aware of, because when something happens to Christo, and Bridget, you've been, you know, kipitaring, as we say colloquially, together for the last however many years. There's consequences. But from a financial perspective, you know, what are the financial implications here to these kinds of let's join together, but not formally join together?
Okay, so one of the big things is when it comes to assets. So it needs to be. You need to have a will in place. That is the biggest thing, to ensure that you have a will in place, to ensure that you have life cover in place, to, if you were to pass away, that, one, the will states that where the assets go to, okay, because you're not married, it doesn't just automatically go to your life partner.
Yeah.
Okay. And number two, because your assets are your assets and your partner's assets are their assets, you have to ensure that there's enough capital in your estate when you pass that it can cover your debts so that your family can continue living in, whether it be the property that you bought together, whatever it may be.
Do you find, though, with the work that you do as a financial advisor, do you find that these are things that we proactively think about when we get into you know, and by all means and purposes, these are committed relationships. These aren't casual relationships. When people decide to come together like this, they just don't have the formality of the paper. But do you find that people actually proactively think about the various circumstances that could unfold and how to safeguard themselves and their families as well as their partners?
For the most part, it's when mothers have children. That is the biggest time where clients come to me and say, Christo, we need security for our children. We have no security for our children. If we were to pass away, we're not sure whether our children are going to be looked after.
Yeah.
So that is when we look at setting up the will, setting up a trust, and then setting up a life cover policy that pays into the trust that will provide the children with finances up until they finish their studies.
All right. And that's very important, especially when there are kids. You have to safeguard the future of the children. A lot of this conversation might come across to folks as though you are just selfishly safeguarding yourself and your family. But there's also protection here for the partner that's left behind from your actual family.
So the other thing is also that because you're not married, and yes, it provides safety for both you and your partner. Because if it goes into a trust, it's its own legal entity. So no one can put claim to that trust other than the beneficiaries of the trust. So it provides safety if let's say you pass away and the beneficiaries are your partner and then your kids that you've left behind. No one can lay claim to what's in that trust other than the beneficiaries themselves.
And I think I want to also harp a little bit more on the kids, right? What steps should couples, what steps should couples, we always assume that the woman is the one that gets, you know, sort of who passes after, but it could be the other way around. What steps should couples really be proactively thinking about in 2025? Like the 3 things that you would advise if they were sitting across from your desk, that you've got to do this now and you've got to do it as a matter of urgency, as when you have children.
Yeah, so the first thing we need to do is do a financial needs analysis. We look at your assets and we look at your liability. So this is the things that you own and the things that you still owe debt on. Okay? We need to look, okay, do you have sufficient capital available to cover your debts? If you don't, look at implementing a life cover. Okay? So first thing is implementing a life cover to ensure that all your debts are covered. And then the second thing that we do is set up a will. And then in that will, we specifically state where all the assets go to and whether a testamentary trust must be created. So let's say, for instance, there's some family drama or some family feuds or anything like that. We need to ensure that the family, the immediate family, is taken care of. So that is the second thing. And then thirdly is just to ensure that, everyone has a file. This file is basically your what if file.
Okay.
The what if file just states exactly what policies you have in place, with who they are, where your assets lie. So it's just a detailed book, just a little file of everything that you own and everything you want to make sure that your partner knows if you were to pass away.
Oh, that what if file, that's a whole different conversation on its own one day, because it's so vital. Let's talk a little bit as well in our last moments about building wealth together, right? What are the best practices to do that? Because we've chosen to live together, we've chosen to be committed, and we want to build a future together. So we also can't be apprehensive around how we do it. But what's best practice here?
Okay, so best practice is, because there's no formal contracts in place stating that this individual is investing with the other one. My suggestion to you is that both parties invest equally what they can afford. All right? So let's say, for instance, the expenses are shared. Now, we need to ensure that both parties are still saving, because anything can happen in life. Anything can cause a lovely couple to separate. And the thing is, yes, it's important to save, but both parties must save in their own capacities. And the thing is if they live together and they die together, that's amazing, because they'll always have that investment to fall back on. Okay, but if they do separate, then they still have the capital available, and they still can say, okay, I'm not losing anything, but I'm also not gaining anything. So just provide security for both partners. And the thing is, you have to be realistic that, listen, these things could happen. So let's plan for best case scenario, and we plan for worst case scenario.
Final one, spanner in the works, maybe, but I think it touches on what you do in our last moment. We want to buy a house together, which is a big financial investment.
Yes.
What is the best advice here?
Okay, so that is definitely dependent on the individuals, because I've been through quite a few marriages and partnerships, what I've seen, and it doesn't end well when they decide to split, or most of the time. Okay? Sometimes it goes well. But my suggestion would be to ensure that you have something in place before you buy it together. So an agreement in place that, listen, if we were to separate, I then will buy the property in full. And this is a contract that you sign between one another before you buy it, so that you can ensure that when the time comes, because when you're together, things are sunshine and roses, but if you were to split up, then it's absolutely not that. So it's just to go into purchasing the property together that you are well aware of what could happen, okay, and making provisions for that. Because it's not a pretty sight, and it causes financial strain for one of the two parties every single time.
Absolutely.
So when you go into it, make sure that you're well prepared for.
Christo Janse van Rensburg, thank you so much for the time. And he's a financial advisor, and hopefully you got some solid advice there. That's our time with you this afternoon. We thank you so much for choosing to be in conversation with us between 1 and 3. We get to do it again tomorrow. For now, though, Ashraf Gada is here, picking up on all the headline stories that are circulating the news today. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a fabulous afternoon.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 3. Hawks recorded rise in cybercrime, and Joburg Roads Agency faces over 70 million rand backlog for SAFM News. I am Ondalambana, and a very good afternoon. The Hawks says it has recorded an increase in cybercrime, with an average of over 3,000 incidences being reported per week on the continent, double the global average. The Hawks, alongside SAPS and Interpol, held a conference to discuss strategies to tackle the surge in Pretoria today. National head of the Hawks, Godfrey Libya, says it's worrying that criminals have found new ways to deceive their victims.
In Africa, more than 3,000 per week of cyber attacks are happening And you can imagine that part of those are actually happening in South Africa. So we are worried about that, but as we have indicated, is the new way of committing this type of offences. Some of them, the amount that involved is not much, but each crime that is being committed is worrying us.
The jihad